I was actually reading this incredibly personal note from the creator of this whole framework, William Mile, and he was talking about how he actually builds these episodes. He uses AI as this very deliberate collaborative partner, but he doesn't just, press a button and walk away. He reviews, he edits, he literally refines every single line to make sure it meets his standard. And then he actually records his real voice at the very end to sign off on it. It is this really fascinating live example of what he calls aid leadership. Not just outsourcing your brain to a machine, but taking complete active responsibility for what you put out into the world.
Oh, that is so interesting. Because, so many people just use these tools to bypass the actual work, right? But to say, no, the buck stops with me, and I am going to put my actual physical voice on the line to prove it, that is real ownership. And it actually fits perfectly with what we are talking about today. This whole idea of structure and hierarchy, which, let's be honest, has a bit of a bad reputation these days.
Right. We tend to hear the word hierarchy and immediately think of something, inherently oppressive or exploitative. But if you look at nature, structured authority is actually a fundamental survival mechanism. Look at a wolf pack. It is not just a random group of animals running around. You have the alpha wolves making these incredibly high-stakes decisions about where to hunt and when to move, and then you have the mid-level wolves who actively support that direction to keep order, while the rest of the pack reads those cues. It is a highly coordinated system designed to keep everyone alive.
Right, because if every single wolf had to debate where to run during a hunt, the entire pack would starve. It is about coordination, not like who is better than who. And you see it even more clearly with honeybees, right? The sheer mind-boggling scale of a hive.
Exactly. In a honeybee colony, the division of labour is incredibly precise. You have the queen, of course, but then you have the nurse bees, the foragers, the builders, the guards. And the key thing is, a nurse bee doesn't spend its day feeling, dynamic inferiority or thinking it is unworthy because it isn't out foraging. Each bee executes its specific job with absolute skill because the collective survival of the hive depends on that exact puzzle coming together. It is highly structured, but it is also completely cooperative.
Right, so it is about utility, not status. But okay, let's bring this back to William Mile's theory, this 8-to-2 framework, where roughly out of every 10 people, 8 are bound together by God's love and transformative power, meaning they are naturally cooperative. In a human setting, how does a high character, what he calls an 8 leader, actually run a hierarchy without it turning into, a tyranny?
Well, that is the crucial distinction. An 8 leader uses power to coordinate and protect. They motivate people to work with active intelligence and skill, not out of blind, terrified obedience. They recognise that structure is there to serve the group's collective well-being, whereas a 2 leader, someone operating from that oppositional, destructive framework, they weaponize the hierarchy. They use it to dominate, to feed their own vanity, and to make everyone else feel smaller.
Yeah, we have all worked for someone like that. It is less about getting the job done and more about making sure everyone knows who is boss.
Exactly. And that brings us to the really messy part of this dynamic. Because even the most beautiful cooperative system, the most perfect ape hierarchy, is incredibly vulnerable to internal sabotage. And Miles' framework warns us about this, that there is always this small minority, the twos, who are actively looking to tear down what the cooperative group builds.
It makes me think of, have you seen the modern Planet of the Apes movies? The trilogy with Caesar?
Oh, yes, it is actually a perfect, almost perfect metaphor for this.
Right? Because Caesar is the ultimate ape leader. He builds this incredible, structured, manageable ape society in the woods. He is trying to protect them, coexisting with humans, establishing rules like ape shall not kill ape. He is all about collective survival. But then you have Koba.
Oh, Koba. He is such a tragic, terrifying character. He is eaten up by his past trauma from being a lab animal, and he simply cannot accept living within a framework that is manageable and cooperative.
Exactly. He is the classic two-actor, and look at how he operates. He doesn't just challenge Caesar to a fair, open fight right away. He starts by whispering. He ridicules Caesar's desire for cooperation. He spreads these toxic rumours among the younger apes, and he actively lies to create panic. He's systematically sowing doubt to destabilize the whole society. He turns their safe, cooperative home into this incredibly volatile, dangerous war zone, all to feed his own obsession with revenge.
It is devastating, because it shows how much easier it is to destroy than to build. It takes years of high-character leadership to build a cooperative circle, but one active saboteur, one Koba, can paralyse the whole thing from the inside if people aren't paying attention.
So, how do we actually deal with that? In the real world, I mean. Whether it is a workplace, a family, or a community organisation. How does an ape leader protect the group from a Koba without becoming a tyrant themselves?
Well, I think it starts with having the courage to set incredibly firm boundaries. You can't just tolerate active sabotage in the name of being nice. An ape leader has to protect the healthy, intelligent structures that keep everyone safe. It is not about being cruel. It is about recognising that if you don't contain the disruption, the entire cooperative hive collapses. You have to actively defend the circle.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You have to care enough about the group to say, no, we are not going to let this be torn down. Well, that is a lot to think about. I think I'm going to be looking at hierarchies a little differently today.
Me too. All right, that is it for us today. Talk soon.
This podcast episode is William Mile Media approved.